Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Mental Toughness and Body Show. My name is Rob Evans, and I'm your weight loss coach, health strategist, and internationally published author, helping take your life and your business, your health, fitness, mindset, and body from where you are right now to where it is that you want to be. And I'm so excited today because I'm about to introduce a very, very special guest, Mr. Bruce Buffer. Now, Bruce is the veteran voice of the Octagon. He is the UFC, the MMA announcer that says, "It's time." And I'm going to play you a short video of one that he did with me before we do the interview. And Bruce is phenomenal at branding. But what I also, so we're going to talk about branding today. We're going to talk about mindset, and we're also going to talk about his own personal health regime and his workout regime as well, because he's aged 64 years of age. He's in the best shape of his life, and he has health, his workouts, his nutrition as a real priority. So I really want to dig into that today to understand that, because I think if you're on this success journey yourself, if you can understand the importance of these things, creating the right mindset, creating the right foundations for your success by setting your health up, having it as a top priority in your life, then you can see how all of those things together breed the success. And digging into the branding and understand how he's been able to build like over $500 million branding empire with his brother, Michael Buffer, who's the guy that says, "Let's get ready to rumble" in the boxing and the wrestling and so forth. And just on Bruce's personal journey as well. It's going to be such an impressive interview. There's so much gold in this. I love Bruce. He just gives so much value here. Now, I said I was going to play a little video for you. Now, this is a video that Bruce shot for me. It was about 2 years ago now. Now, what I love about this video, obviously the enthusiasm that he brings to it, but I look like a stunned mullet, because when we did the filming, they said to me, "Right, Bruce is going to stay here. You stand there and you just stand on that spot. Don't say anything, don't do anything." I'm like, okay. And you can tell I look like a stunned mullet. Now, if we did it again, at the end of it, I'd be jumping around. I'd be, like doing some boxing moves and that kind of stuff. But at the time, it was my very first, I suppose, interaction with filming with the celebrity and stuff. I thought, okay, they're telling me to do this. I better not do anything. Otherwise, they'll say, we're going to stop recording. But Bruce really brings the energy. He's a great guy. You're going to love this interview. And my little snippet will put a smile on your face. So enjoy.
Presenting the champion of health and fitness, representing studio personal training, introducing Rob Evans.
Bruce, welcome to the show. It's an honor and a thrill to spend this time with you.
Thank you, Rob. I appreciate it. I'm honored to be on.
Thank you. Hey, look, I wanted to start out by asking you about branding. With all the success that you've had in branding yourself and Michael, I'm just curious about the branding mistakes that you perhaps noticed that others make.
One of the key mistakes that people make in branding, there's certain words that go with it. First off, your passion for what you do. I hope you have passion for what you do, because that way you'll do it better than anybody, and you'll be able to deal with when you get knocked down, and you got to get back up and move forward and punch harder than ever, as Rocky said. That's very important. But consistency is key in branding. The other thing is familiarity, consistency and familiarity. And what I mean by that is, if you have a Twitter account, an Instagram account, a Facebook account, a business card, an email address, a company name, they should all be the same.
Yes.
You don't want people to search and find you, right? If it's ABC Inc., it's ABC Inc. It's not CBA Incorporated. It's not ABC, it's AB, whatever it is. You keep it the same, and you keep consistently building and advertising and marketing yourself with that, so that everything stays the same. You practice the same principles. You apply those principles to your business, right? And it's just very important. It's really, I think success is actually a very simple formula. I think people spend too much time trying to reinvent the wheel and make it more complicated. It's like in fighting, there's a jab and a cross, and a hook. And these are the punches that win fights in boxing, much less what wins fights in martial arts. But consistency is key. Very, very key.
Yeah, great point. Do you see that in branding these days, because there's so many opportunities through social media and so forth, that people are losing their authenticity and just like branding for the sake of branding and losing the authenticity of themselves in that brand?
Well, yeah, that can happen. I mean, there's a saying goes, you want to be a product of the products. You want to believe in the product. And if you're I'm a poker player. I can tell people, I can read people, and in business I can read too. Honesty, being a product of your products, mixed with the passion for your products, you can tell when somebody's false, if it comes
Yes.
across. And where false comes in is in lies or embellishment that you can't back up. You don't want to say something you can't back it up. You don't want to lie either, or white lie, or whatever term you want to give it, because 2 months down the road, that subject can come up and you'll forget what you said. And they'll pick you up on it. And if I pick you up on it, you lie to me, I'm not doing business with you.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Yeah.
Yeah. So obviously you've been building your brands over the last 25 years. If you could go back to the beginning now, like you think about what you've learned, maybe mistakes that you've made and everything, would you do anything differently now if you started again?
No, I do it all the same. In all
Yeah.
total honesty, I do it all the same. Maybe a couple of things I would have waited a couple of years when the timing was better, or a year earlier. Outside of that, everything the same. I cut my teeth with my first company when I was 19, and I've owned my own businesses, a variety of such ever since. Except when I worked for Dana White in the UFC or making appearances, elsewhere. But when I took over management of my brother, the legendary Michael Buffer, known for the "Let's Get Ready to Rumble" sports and entertainment announcing, his phrase, I built, that into a $500 million brand with my brother, and it allowed me to cut my teeth on what it takes to start from a base and build a brand from a base and build it up to where we have different revenue streams and different fingers of revenue out there. And the principles that I applied to that when it came to my career, starting on my road to announcing and my trademark, It's Time and everything, I just applied the same principles. And one of the other things is I always maintain good business relationships. You'd be hard-pressed to find anybody that would not want to do business with me again, right?
Mm.
And it's because of the way I do business, which is very simple. I'm honest and I'm passionate, and everybody around me, I want to see them be healthy, prosperous, and happy. I don't worry about the paychecks coming at me. Sure, I make good money, but I mean, what I'm saying is that I'll always be the first one to cash the check at the bank on a Monday. Trust me, I'll be first in line with my check. Okay. But when I get hired to do something, I don't think about that. I mean, I
Yeah.
certainly negotiate what I'm supposed to get, but I go in there to do that job as best I can, make everybody around me successful, because then I know it's all going to come back to me.
Yes. Yeah. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I've heard you, when it comes to your It's Time brand, I've heard you say that that tagline didn't really come out for 8 years that you'd been doing it. I'm just curious, did you play around with different taglines, or is it just something that, oh yeah, people seem to like It's Time, I'll stick with that? Or
No, I didn't play around with different taglines because, I never wanted to be Frank Sinatra Jr. and copy my brother. I don't want to be known as the guy
yeah,
copying Michael Buffer. I wanted to develop my own style. And when I first got into announcing, I wasn't phrase driven. I didn't want to be like a lot of that. Most every announcer feels they got to have a "let's get" or an "it's time to." I mean, now it's become copying Michael and I. Okay, that's the height of flattery, and I'm not worried about them as long as they don't violate our trademark rules. But it's like, to me, it wasn't what I said, it's how I say it.
yes,
And I worked on my inflection. And then I used to stand still in the octagon or the boxing ring and just, like every other announcer, trying to, speak eloquently and everything. But I've got a tiger inside me. I got to move. I've been an athlete my whole life. And about 6 or 7 years in, when I started doing the It's Time, I started moving and going to the fighters' corners and doing turns and jumps and all the things that I've known for. And I don't practice. I just do whatever comes to my head at the moment
yeah,
of the passionate moment I'm announcing. But then I always started my days after shaving and saying, like, it's time, time for me to have the best day possible, time for me to be the best I can be. And in the main event, I thought, okay, well, the audience has been here for 5-6 hours, culminating into the main event. The fighters fighting in the main event have trained for, 7, 8, 9, 10 weeks. And now it's culminating into the moment we've all been waiting for. It's time. And I just started saying it. Now, if you look back to when I did start it, in the inflection I said it with versus the inflection and how I say it now, it's a lot different, right?
yes,
Because I refined it over time. And that's exactly what I wanted to do. And I didn't think about trademarking at first, and I didn't think about coming out with products, but it all started when we went back to Brazil in like 93, was it 2003 or so? And we had one of our first shows in Brazil, or a little before that in Rio. And the entire Portuguese talking audience of 20,000 people started saying, "It's time with me," when I said it. The whole arena. I never
Yeah.
even saw that for Michael and Let's Get Ready to Rumble. And these are not English speaking people. And I thought, I got out of the Octagon, and the cup man, Stitch Duran, said, "Buff, did you hear that?" And I said, "No," because I'm always focused on the fighter, right? He goes, "Everybody said it's time with you." It was the most amazing thing I've ever heard. I watched it on TV, and I'm like, holy heck. That's when I knew it was catching on.
Yes.
And then now, no matter where I perform or do whatever, it's happening every show.
Yeah.
And that's when I realized that, hey, it hit. Trademark it, get it right. Now let's start
Yeah.
refining it and start building it into a brand and a business.
Yeah, you've done it so well. I mean, it could almost be any phrase, couldn't it? It's the flair and the panache that you bring with the phrase that is so like, oh yeah, what jacket's Bruce wearing? What turns he doing? How high is he jumping?
Yeah,
All that kind of stuff.
thank you.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm the only announcer I know that's blown an ACL, doing their job. So I definitely give it my all. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, you can tell. Yeah, it's beautiful. Hey, I wanted to ask you about like celebrity endorsed products, because a lot of celebrity endorsed products actually fail. And you, like when I was having a search for, I was trying to find a Bruce Buffer bobblehead, and you can't find them because they're so
Oh, no,
scarce.
you can go to MMA, go on Instagram to MMA bobblehead.
Oh, okay.
And he made it. I'm telling you, it's the most amazing figure. A collectible item that's going up in price. He's about to release a new one of me doing a 360 with a voice chip in it.
Oh, cool.
So if you want the finest figures, and if you're a UFC fan and fans of it, go just check out on Instagram or go to MMAbobblehead.com. It'll blow you away. The guy's amazing. There's your bobblehead right there.
Yeah,
And
cool.
it will
All right,
go
I'm
up
doing
in
it.
price. It will go up in price. They're limited editions.
Yeah, cool. Well, I was going to ask you, when it comes to you to looking at, what's that next product that you're going to do, and I'm wondering, I don't know whether you do it now. It's certainly not available in Australia. When I can smell like Bruce Buffer, I can use my Bruce Buffer shower gel and aftershave and all that kind of stuff. But what's the process you go through to work out what's that next product? What's appropriate for me?
Well, I mean, you just hit on a couple. I showed you the It's Time energy drink is coming out in Australia.
Okay.
40 countries. This is going to come out this year. It's the most natural energy drink. No sugars. Everybody says their drinks are natural. BS. This is the most natural energy drink. Even Jeff Nowitzki, the head of USADA, that tests the fighters, loves this. This is athlete approved. Okay.
Yeah, great.
This is going to be followed by one product which goes into the pipeline, but it'll be followed by 50 more nutritional products coming out in the next year.
Awesome.
Sales are expected over 100 million of this year alone.
Wow.
40 countries. Now you talk about my cologne that's coming out. The It's Time cologne is coming out, and it will be released this year too. Loading that pipeline will be a number of products, from It's Time deodorant, body wash, facial wash.
Oh, great. So I can smell like you.
Yeah. Well, you can enjoy my puncher's chance, which is not in Australia. I'm sorry. You can drink like me. You can smell like me. You can get energy like me. If you want to be like Buff, that's your choice. But you know what? I just want to make really great products, because I don't like to be sided with people that have poor business acumen. I don't want to be sided with the products that are not the best. And this is a 2-year endeavor, to the point where we're getting and releasing them now. A lot of work has gone into all of this.
Yes. Yeah, I can imagine.
And the way I do it, just to answer your question, is I'm an OPMer, other people's money. Okay. People want to use my image. They want me to be part of it. So I do it on licenses, where I'm hired as a spokesperson, ambassador, licenses. But my deals are created so that I own part of the company, and I'm involved in the marketing, and I'm involved in the development, where most celebrity endorsed products, they go in, they do a photo shoot, they're done. They don't do anything else.
Yes.
I'm an entrepreneur. I've owned my own business, like I said, since I was 19.
Yes.
And I'm all about success.
Yeah.
I've had failures, but you got to know what it's like to fail before you can know what it's like to succeed.
Yeah. You don't enjoy the success so much.
Yeah.
Yeah. Beautiful. Hey, I wanted to ask you about mindset now, because obviously, with all the success that you've had, I mean, you could stop it's not like you need the money kind of thing. So I'm just wondering what keeps you hungry? How do you stay hungry in this?
My passion for what I do. I set out on this path to be the best I can be. And, I also have mentors or role models, and The Rock is a role model for me. I look at
Okay.
everything, I know Dwayne and I look at all he's done. He has a Midas touch. Of course, he comes out with a tequila, I'll come out with a bourbon. He comes out with Zoe Energy, I'll come out with this time. And I'm not copying you, Rock. I actually had all this in process before you did, but it's all good. So you learn from others, but for
Yes.
me, I love what I do. I'm passionate about what I do. If I didn't like what I did, when I get to that financial point that I'm comfortable, then I'll just probably, lay back. But that's not me. I'll be
Yes.
working into my 70s. I'm 64 now. I'll still be announcing, I stay in shape and an athlete my whole life. And I'm used to train to compete. Now I train to get older. I train to do what I love to do. And
Yes.
my goal is to take care of my family and my loved ones so they have nothing to worry about. And then I think about myself.
Yes. Yeah. What I love about you is you can see it in you, like obviously in the energy in the, in the Octagon and so forth, but just in like the interviews that you give, you can tell that this is authentically you. You're passionate, you're hungry, you just love what it is that you do. And what you said earlier about making people around you successful, I think, that's great.
What you see is what you get. And when I had my telemarketing companies, I was like Alec Baldwin and Glengarry Glen Ross, ABC, always be closing. I was a monster, but I always treated people with respect and I treat everybody around me equally. And again, my goal is to make everybody around me successful and myself. And when I walk out, if somebody tries one of my products, I don't want them yelling at me. That sucks. I want them saying
Yeah.
how great it was. I
How
want to
good
be
I
proud of what
smell.
I do.
Yeah, yeah. And just a couple more questions for you, Bruce. And just on the mindset again, I'm just curious what your thoughts are, because people will be listening to this say, oh, I'm not as skilled as Bruce in branding and so forth. But my belief is that if you've got the right work ethic and mindset, then that's going to trump skill. But I'm just curious what you think.
Skill comes from reps. Skill comes from doing. It's like college. College teaches knowledge. It doesn't, which all respect to college, it doesn't teach application. You got to get out there and do it. The
Mm.
more you do it, the more you believe in yourself, the more passionate about it, the better you'll get at it. The other thing is that in your field of endeavor, look at the top 3 people who are the most successful people or companies in that field of endeavor and take the time to analyze how they do business, what it took for them to get there, and learn from what they did, right? And also
Yes.
coaching is very important. I do coaching and mentoring, and sometimes a good coach can save you months of error,
Yes.
trial and error.
Yeah.
So knowledge is key. Knowledge is important. So again, as much knowledge as possible, and don't try to sit back and recreate the wheel and try to think how can I do this and like nobody else did it. Look at the people that did it. How are they doing it? Success breeds competition, and competition breeds success. And get out there and do it
Mm.
consistently,
Yes.
tenaciously, and this attitude of I work hard, work smart, right?
Yes.
Oh, I work 12, 14 hours a day. I bust. I should be. I could, I'm not saying that that's not good, but if I analyze what you're doing, I'd probably help you do it in 8 hours. So you had a life doing other stuff too and still be just successful. And you got to
Yes.
have a life outside of your business. You
Yes.
got to have
Absolutely.
enjoyment. You got to have personal pleasure, right?
Yeah.
If you can. But most importantly, health is key.
That's a beautiful segue because that was my final question around health. Now, clearly, you don't look your age. I've heard you say before you're in the shape of your life. Um, I was just curious as to, could you walk us through a typical day of what, like your eating looks like, what sort of training you do and that kind of stuff? Because it's obviously a fund, like foundational for what it is that you do.
Yeah, sleep is important to me. I try to sleep at least 8 or 9 hours a night when I can. I certainly have many sleepless nights in travel I deal with, but that's when I'm on the road, or whatever. But like I got up this morning, and the first thing I do is, stretch a little bit, get my body ready to go. I make a good power breakfast, have my coffee the way I like it, and I've got to have that nutrition to start the day. I'll get through my emails. I'll get through all my initial phone calls or meetings I have in the morning. I train every day from 12:30 to 1:30 minimum.
Yep.
Good circuit training, various forms of training, so I don't get bored. Uh, Changing enough my body, staying in physical and cardio shape, and then come back, and then I approach my day in the afternoon, and I have the energy to do what I need to do, whether I have to go out for meetings or do other stuff. But I'm very tenacious. You know, I come from a telemarketing background, so I know what it's like to make, you know, hundreds of calls a day and, you know, cover more ground than most people can cover in 3 days. I can cover in 1 day, but that's just me. That's the way I am. But
Yes.
I start my day right. And I'm going to say it again. Nutrition is very important. You know, people might say, oh, I get so tired in the afternoon. Well, what did you have for breakfast? What did you have for lunch? What did you, you know, how did you nourish your body? How did you nourish your brain to sit out and do this thing that you're doing? So, and then I shut it off. I mean, sometimes I'll find myself working at my desk till 8, 9 o'clock at night, you know, but sometimes you just got to shut it off and
Yes.
take some time for yourself, right? Don't burn yourself out.
Yes.
Many,
Yeah.
if I knew what you do on an individual day basis, I could break it down. But for me, power breakfast, sleep, get all the necessities done in the morning, right? And then plan out your day. And I'll tell you, that calendar in the iPhone, I
Yes.
live by that thing.
Yeah. Me too. Google Calendar.
Yeah.
Yeah, wonderful. Bruce, I want to thank you for today. Such an honor, thrilled to speak with you, giving us the insights into your branding and also just how you live too. Because I think there's so many entrepreneurs out there that they focus on the dollar, and I believe in putting, certainly from what I do, my health and fitness is my number one value. And I think you're just a terrific example as to the results that you get if you focus on that.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. You know, my whole goal is, again, to help everybody around me be happy, healthy, and prosperous.
Yes.
There's a karmic aspect of business that I live by, and honesty in that and everything I put forth, like me or not, it's the way I do it. It works for me. And you want to build relationships, and you want those people to know that even if they don't talk to you to 2 years, they can come back to you and maybe there's another business deal. And that all deals with being consistent and honest and handling yourself with class and believing in yourself.
Yes. Yeah, beautifully said. Thanks so much for today, Bruce.
Thank you. I really appreciate it, Rob.